at the very beginning of this section, I said it was going to be a long one. So I genuinely hope that you are not trying to watch all of these at once. It's just a little too much on your brain. I definitely split this into multiple lectures when I teach this in person. All right, so give yourself a break if you haven't already done so, and then come back. It's also terrible that you're just having to hear me say false, true, true, false, all over and over and over again. So I'm really hopeful that you're doing okay. Please remember that you can always reach out to me or reach out to the tutoring lab or reach out to any assistants we have here in the department to also help you through these. All right, this is our first example where we're seeing a third variable. So I didn't fill them in because I wanted to talk through the 8 combinations. You'll notice that we're now a very big chart, and that's because we've introduced R. P, Q, and R. So when we have this, we have 4 extra combinations because we now have an extra variable that has to have every exhaustive possibility. So we usually go trues for half and falses for half. And then we alternate TT, FF, TT, FF for the Qs. You don't necessarily have to put it in this exact order, but this is the easiest kind of pattern way to make sure you don't miss one of the possibilities. And then for R, you do your TF, 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 alternating straight down. And this you can double check. You have not had, none of them are the same, right? We have 3 truths all the way to 3 falses. We have 2 truths and a false, 2 falses and a true. We have false, true, false, truth, false, truths, truth, false, true. And then we have true, false, false, and false, true, true. Right, you see the pattern, but you see that there are no repeats. There is no 2 rows that are exactly the same. And that's all 8 possibilities when you have those 3 variables. Then we just go back to the dominance of connectives. Everything else, once you have the initial setup, is just one piece at a time, being very calm and methodic. Like you have to focus on which row you're looking at as you go to that next piece of the dominance of connectives. All right, so we do have parentheses here. So technically this is first, but this is a slightly different example. Oh, come on. I drew on it already, I promise. The parentheses have to be done first, but you'll notice within the parentheses, we have 2 operations. We have the disjunction, and we also have the negation. So within those parentheses, we have to do the not Q first. Sorry, school Wi-Fi is getting to me. I'm going to keep going with it though. All right, so as I was saying is this has to be done first, even within the parentheses. We are doing the parentheses first, but within the parentheses, we had 2 operations. And because negation comes before disjunction, that not Q actually gets done first, and then the P or not Q, and then that whole thing and R. That's going to be our order here. So not Q is done first. I have to write in the opposite of this entire column. So I hope you're okay. I'm going to write it all at once. It's going to be false, false, true, true, false, false, true, true, because that's the opposite across the way from Q in every single row. So false, false, true, true, false, false, true, true. And there's our negation of Q. Next, we had P or not Q. Now go and say, okay, I'm doing a disjunction. So it's an or statement. So as long as one of them is true, it's overall true. And which columns am I looking at? I'm looking at P and I'm looking at not Q, or statement between these. So as long as one of them is true, the overall piece is true. So true, false makes a true. I'll go through and circle these one at a time, which ones I'm looking at. True or false makes a true. true or true. Make sure you're really focusing that you're circling from the right column. True or true is true. True or true is true. False or false is false. False or false. False. False or true. With or statements, only one of them has to be true. So we have a true there. And same on the next one, we have a true and a true. One more. I'm going to have to make one video for each of these because these are just a little longer. All right, P or not Q and R. So we're now focused on this column and this column. Again, we have to be very careful on which ones we're looking at. So true and true. With an and statement, they both have to be true for it to be true. If any of them, either of them are false, it's overall false. So like right here, true and false, we have a false. True and true is true. True and false is false. False and true is false. We need them both to be true if it's going to be true. False and false is false. True and true. There's our true part. We have another true there. And finally, true and false. We have a false there. All right, true, false, true, false, 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 true, false.